the extent that you're trying to figure out how you run one of these systems, if your fundamental postulate is that the local exchange carriers will remain forever, have monopoly power, which means that you have to be very complicated in the way in which you introduce new entities and allow one company to buy network elements from another, you've managed to capture the elements of the essential technology in 1996, but by 1998 it was quite clear that the implicit assumption of that act, the dominance of the exclusive power of the local exchange carriers, were wrong. And when you started to allow the government to force the sale of particular network elements at bargain prices, you created all sorts of distortions in that market, which in the end helped nobody. So the great question that you have to worry about when you're dealing with this market is exactly the question, what's the form of regulation that you want? And in that case, the mistake was, instead of having the government supervise interconnection agreements, which could have been done relatively easy, they went to this system of forced exchanges that dominated. We're now in a new age, and what happens in this new particular age is, with the decline of the local monopolies under these exchange carriers, what you end up with is a system in which entry now becomes a really plausible type of arrangement. That is, instead of trying to force people to interconnect, you could let people build out other kinds of networks, and in the course of using those particular networks, enter into competition one to another, where in many cases there may be some need for interconnection, but in many cases there will not be, as, for example, with a lot of these networks which are designed to transmit huge amounts of data and so forth. And so the question is, what's the appropriate system of regulation? And I think the fundamental postulate that you would want to adopt in cases of this sort runs as follows. If you could conceive of a way in which new technology allows for the facility and the creation of competitive networks, you want to treat this no longer as a monopolistic industry with a single supplier in a single place. What you want to do is to treat it as a competitive industry